Hey guys, Vance here from ProLine Racing. Today we're going to assemble a back-half cage. Now some of you have asked us how to put this thing together, so if you follow this video step by step, you should have no problems. Alright, so we'll start off with tools. First off, side cutters to cut the gates, and then 3 hex drivers. We have a 50 thousandths or 1.3 millimeter hex, a 2 and a 2.5. Now we'll also use a drill to make things easier. And we have a ball version of the 2 millimeter and the 2.5 millimeter hex just in case. Okay, first step, let's get this out of the bag. Get our screws out. And cut all the gates. The first things we're going to assemble are this lower spare tire hoop and the top tubes. So the lower spare tire hoop has an orientation. You'll notice there are 2 flats on 2 of the upper tubes, and the other side doesn't have those. So we're going to put those flats towards the front of the truck. So we'll assemble this loosely and then throw in 4 of the M3 button head screws, and then run them in with a 2 millimeter driver. Alright, so next we're going to put the top deck on, and we're going to use the small short button head screws. And we'll use the 50 thousandths hex driver to put them in. So once you get all 10 of these button head screws snugged down, move on to the spare tire carrier assembly. So we'll take our down tubes and the spare tire spacer, spare tire wing nut, and the hardware, which includes this long button head screw, a washer for it, an M3 nut, and an M3 lock nut. So first we'll put the washer on the screw, put it through the back of the spare tire mount location on the down tubes. And then we'll slide the spacer over. There's a tab on it that will key into the slot. And then you can spin down the M3 nut. Get it down a ways by hand, and then push it into the pocket. And then we'll go ahead and tighten this 2 millimeter wrench. Snug it down lightly. Last, we can insert our M3 lock nut into the spare tire wing nut, and we'll thread this on. Just loosely for now until you get a tire in there. So after assembling the spare tire carrier, we can install the down tubes using the final 2 M3 button head screws, and then going from the bottom. If you're going to run the utility rack, now's the time to install it. It's going to go on the back of the front tubes, and you can determine the orientation of the front tubes by this bend. There's a slight bend that goes towards the cab, so this would be the back. And we're going to install it using the longer, small diameter button head screws. So at this point, it's ready to install on the body. If you haven't drilled your holes in the cab, this front tube assembly makes a great template. Just hold it up where it should go and reach through with a pin and mark all 6 holes. Now this body's already been drilled, so we're just gonna run the screws through. So the only hardware you should have left are the socket cap M3 screws and the washers. So we'll go ahead and install the washers, and we'll put the round side towards the body, the flat side towards the head of the screw. All right, so we'll start out with 1 screw. It's easiest to start in the top of the cab, so we'll put 1 screw through one of the top corners of the cab, holding the body upside down. You can slide it through the front tubes and into the down tube. This is where the 2.5 ball driver comes in handy if you have it. And then we'll just repeat the process for the remaining 5 screws. All right, so that's it. We've assembled our back half cage. All that's left to do is mount it to your chassis. So there are 2 options to mount your cage to your chassis. So the first is to drill holes in the top deck to match your stock body posts. And the easier option is to use this Knight Customs hinge mount specifically made for the Pro-Line back half cage. So this Knight Customs hinge mount installs under your stock bumper mount of an SCX-10-2, and then the cage gets sandwiched into this clamp, and it requires just a couple M3 screws on the bottom and some M2.5 screws on top. So the Knight Customs hinge mount gives you a nice clean look without the pins coming through the top deck, and it also makes it convenient to have access to your chassis. Hopefully this video helps you out. We can't wait to see back half cages on your trucks at this year's By the Fire. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment down below. For more information on the back half cage and everything else we make, be sure to visit prolinерacing.com.